So if the testosterone or the steroids are keeping you awake and your sympathetic drive and your dopamine levels and your metabolic rate is continuously heightened and you can't, bypass with other methods, why don't we start injecting our testosterone very, very, very early? Subcutaneous daily microadministrations. Vigorous Steve here. So I see this question pop up here or there, and it was even posted on my Patreon page recently, where you can actually vote for the upcoming deep dives, the videos I produce next, and also join the Vigorous Q&As, which are always posted live over the weekend. I see this question arise more often than not. Steve, why can't I sleep on TRT? Steve, why can't I sleep on my steroid cycle? Steve, whenever I take Trenbolone, I can't sleep at all. It's like Trenbolone is the worst offender of all the steroids out there. Trenbolone is like a repellent for the sleep fairy, and whenever you want to count sheep, you end up seeing your mom instead, which is probably not a pretty sight of her jumping the fences, you trying to get to sleep. So let me answer these questions right here. Before we do, please like the video, leave a comment for the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Long story short, testosterone and all of the other anabolic androgenic steroids out there increase sympathetic drive. They increase dopamine levels. They increase overall metabolic rate. So besides the testosterone that you're taking, or the other steroids that you're taking, a lot of this overlaps in the other things that you're doing or taking as well. So let's take training for an example. When you're in this continuous fight or flight state by taking testosterone or being on cycle, when you train later in the evening, it takes some time to get into the rest and digest state. So if you're training later in the evening, let's say 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, but you want to go to bed at 11 to follow your circadian rhythm, sleep 8 hours from 11 to 7 in the morning, it's probably not enough time to really relax and get back into your rest and digest state. You only give yourself an hour or two from training your balls off at the gym to trying to relax before going to bed. So you might have to move your workout earlier in the day, maybe in the afternoon or directly after work. Maybe you train from 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening instead of 8 to 10, right? Or 5 to 7, for example. And if that doesn't change the fact that you can't fall asleep, maybe you'll have to change your workout to the morning. Wake up early, let's say 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning, do your workout first, and then go to work. Besides the testosterone that you're taking or the steroids that you're taking, there's a lot of things that can influence your sleep quality later in the day. And it's the same with drinking coffee, because testosterone really improves or increases sympathetic drive. Some people actually get an increased sensitivity to caffeine. Now, I've noticed this myself taking various performance enhancing drugs, that your caffeine tolerance actually goes down, so you get more sensitive to caffeine. So I now have to drink my caffeine, my coffee, earlier in the day. So instead of before 6 o'clock would be my last serving of coffee during the day, allowing me to fall asleep at 11, now I have to push that back earlier to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock at the latest. So if you're heavy on stimulants in the sense of pre-workouts or coffee or energy drinks, maybe cut those out as well. Now, regarding the dopamine system, which testosterone certainly stimulates, right? Dopamine increases testosterone levels and vice versa. So if you're on TRT, a steroid cycle, or a full-blown pre-contest stack, dopamine levels are going to be up. And that also means that your response to dopamine or dopaminergic activity is going to be heightened also. So if you're scrolling on Instagram, or you're playing video games, or you're doing anything that revolves around dopamine secretion, gambling online, for example, playing poker, that kind of stuff, doing that into the late hours, you're not going to fall asleep either. And of course, if testosterone is stimulating your metabolic rate, even at a low dose of TRT, if your metabolism increases, which keeps you awake also, you shouldn't have very heavy meals later in the day, because that all needs to be metabolized. It will increase your core body temperature, which for the guys that sleep in a hotter climate, you don't have access to an air conditioning, the worst thing you can do for your sleep quality is go to bed with a full stomach, sweating buckets throughout the night. I mean, we all remember those horrible nightly trend sweats from our younger years, right? Or maybe you're still dabbling. I discontinued that ages ago. Anyway, if your body temperature is high and your stomach is full and your body's trying to metabolize all of that, that could keep you awake also. So that's the low-hanging fruit. Let's just talk about testosterone instead. That's why we're all here anyway. So if the testosterone or the steroids are keeping you awake and your sympathetic drive and your dopamine levels and your metabolic rate is continuously heightened and you can't, bypass with other methods, why don't we start injecting our testosterone very, very, very early? subcutaneous daily microadministrations. That helps for a lot of people out there already. So if you do your TRT later in the day, and this is the reason why you're staying awake, or you're doing higher dosages, or you're doing intramuscular shots maybe bi-weekly, Monday, Friday, or you're doing every other day testosterone propionate administrations, why don't we take a couple steps back, inject subcutaneous in the morning, daily microadministrations, lower dosages per serving, and switch to a longer ester, let's say enanthate or cypionate or even decanoate, Nebido, right, if you have access to it. All these little things you can manipulate, and this way, the peak serum concentrations are going to be tapered towards the end of the day and certainly are going to be a lot more stable throughout the day and throughout the week because you're doing so many shots. Now again, it's a little bit cumbersome, a little bit more annoying than doing bi-weekly administrations, but still, this might be a very worthy thing to try if you're suffering from sleep issues on TRT. I mean, that by itself could already be a huge game changer for you. And if that's not the case, please do your blood work. You follow this protocol of daily microadministrations for, let's say, a month. Then you do your blood work, see where your total testosterone, your estrogen levels, your dihydrotestosterone levels, and your SHBG levels are actually at. Maybe your estrogen levels are a little bit too low. Maybe your DHT levels are a little bit too high. But more worrying is your SHBG levels because you want your testosterone, estrogens, and DHT to be bound up to a certain extent. Again, free testosterone, free estrogens, free DHTs can all potentiate some sort of effect on your sympathetic drive, your dopamine, and your metabolic rate. So if your SHBG levels are reasonably low, which is a common side effect of doing daily microadministrations because now you have a constant influx of testosterone, reducing the potential for aromatization of testosterone into estradiol, which downstream reduces SHBG levels, but the influx of testosterone can also reduce your SHBG levels. So you have to really dive into your blood work to assess what's really going on within your body. If you live in the United States, you can do your blood work over at Merrick Health. They offer very comprehensive blood work analysis and have excellent patient care coordinators who can help you through this process. I have a discount code with them. You can find it down below in the YouTube description section. So do your blood work, see what's going on. If your SHBG levels are low, I'm not going to repeat the entire process, but I'll link a video on how to increase your SHBG levels with several different practices at the end of this video, so give that one a watch in case your SHBG is single digits or suboptimal, let's say below 20 nanomoles per liter. I would consider that suboptimal on TRT. You want a little bit of this testosterone, estrogen, DHT, and some of the intermediary hormones to be bound up to not potentiate its effects on, multiple processes that could keep you awake at night. Another thing you have to look into, and I already made separate videos about this, I'll link them at the end of this one. Plus, it's an upcoming deep dive, so stay tuned for that. DHEA and Pregnenolone. Testosterone, in general, and other steroids have a huge effect on your neurotransmitters. So besides the dopamine, it affects a lot of other neurotransmitters as well, and how you react to these neurotransmitters. So if you're constantly in this heightened state, you need these neurosteroids to bring you back down. DHEA and Pregnenolone have a huge effect on GABA-mediated neurotransmission. So if you're not supplementing with DHEA or Pregnenolone, or you're not taking HCG on cycle or on testosterone replacement therapy, do your blood work, see where your DHEA sulfate, pregnenolone sulfate levels are at. And if any of them are low, start supplementing. Use compounds that are known to increase these levels because DHEA and pregnenolone help to relax you. They activate the GABA-A receptor and help with its inhibitory process to help you relax later in the day. Now, of course, you can supplement with GABA at the end of the day as well, but you might not respond to it favorably if your DHEA and pregnenolone levels are still low. So instead of throwing the 5-HTP and the GABA and the melatonin and the Valium and the etc. at it to make you fall asleep, why don't we optimize our hormone profile? A little bit of testosterone, a little bit of HCG, a little bit of DHEA and pregnenolone, and perhaps diethylmethane or aromatase inhibitor to keep your estrogen levels sustained. Why don't we do full HRT so we can actually sleep by having this inhibitory effect of GABA actually work through the GABA-A receptors? You can't just take testosterone or a steroid cycle and expect to be relaxed at the end of the day. You actually need to supplement or at least keep your neurosteroid levels sustained. So I've been doing this for the last couple of years now, and guess who doesn't have sleep issues? yours truly. I can sleep like a baby at the end of the day. And again, I haven't touched tren in a very long time, so I'm not exactly sure if DHEA and pregnenolone supplementation can undo all of this terrible effects that trenbolone has on your overall sleep quality. But I do know at any dose of testosterone or testosterone primo and testosterone primo and anavar, as long as I'm on top of my DHEA and pregnenolone, I can sleep. And that's without 5-HTP, without GABA supplements, or without melatonin before bed. Now, I know a lot of people can get insomnia for HCG as well. So again, the same thing applies as the testosterone. If you're doing HCG monotherapy or combining testosterone with HCG, microadministrations are advised. And again, take them as early as you can in the morning because serum levels will shoot up and then come down, or start alternating your subcutaneous testosterone administrations with your subcutaneous HCG administrations and keep the dosages moderate at, let's say, 250 IUs every other day. So let's say you do a cookie cutter TRT of 150 milligrams testosterone enanthate per week, 50 milligrams test enanthate subcutaneously Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 250 IUs HCG Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday we rest, right? I really hope this helps. This should improve a lot of the sleep issues that most people already suffer from on TRT. And otherwise, you're going to have to make yourself a little bit tired, right? You take the modafinil out, you take the Adderall out, or any other stimulant that you might be taking. You reduce your caffeine intake to maybe a cup in the morning, and you forget about all the pre-workouts. You forget about all the energy drinks, and you actually put in the work to make yourself tired at the end of the day. And otherwise, you're going to have to do a booty call, get that over with, because that will put most men to sleep right after the deeds. You know, you feel relaxed. You got your whole day done. You got your injections done. You got your work done. You got your workout done. You got your pump in. I mean, if you can't fall asleep after that, I really don't know what to do. Okay, I'll leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Vigorous crew, you guys know what to do. A front double bicep for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in personalized advice, you know where to find me, vigoroussteve.com. I'm always available for consultations, personalized advice by email. I have a ton of ebooks that cover many of the commonly asked questions regarding pharmacology for sale on my website as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.